Welcome to ETHDam, to ETHDam, to ETHDam, to ETHDam, to ETHDam.
All right. Moving on for the program of this afternoon, it is my honor to welcome a meetup user. He's been coming to our meetups, he's been coming to Crypto Drinks, and I wanted to include more people who are making a difference here in the Netherlands, people who are making a difference in the US. We had Sal, we have Arendé, and today, gracing the stage of ETHDam will be Thierry Baudet, leader of the Forum for Democracy party here in the Netherlands, and it's my honor to welcome him to discuss how he's going to make a difference, how we're going to make a difference, how we're going to have making the case, the democratic case for the crypto revolution. Thank you. Thierry, join us. Thank you. Break a leg.
So it's wonderful to be here.
Wait. Maybe
I think
this one? Oh, you're over mic.
This is fine, right?
Yes.
So guys, I just wanted to congratulate all of you, first of all, with the immense success of getting Ross Ulbricht out of prison. This is a major victory of the movement that you all are part of. And it shows the impact that we can have. This was an unwinnable case, right? Double life plus 40 years without parole. The entire system up against him. FBI even tweeting on their official tweets the alleged reasons for giving Ross these cruel and unusual punishments days before the Trump administration was inaugurated. And it's amazing that it went through, it was pushed through, and that I think that this should give us enough self-confidence for the following two things that I want to share with you. The first is, if we could get Ross out, we must certainly be able to get Roger Ver out of the situation that he's currently in, under the incredibly unjust persecution and the prison sentence that is above his head at the moment. I don't feel that there's enough awareness of his situation among the crypto community in the world. I do think we should all speak out more. He has done more for crypto than I think anyone on the planet, and he deserves our loyalty and our support. So I really wanted to say that we know now what impact crypto people can have in the world. We got Ross out. Now let's make a stand in favor of Roger Ver. A massive stand. Secondly, and this is the other thing that I wanted to share with you today, and that's the point that the speech is named after. We live in an age of very rapidly accelerating bureaucratic control over our lives. And it's very important to see the major trend here. This is a form of despotism that the French philosopher Tocqueville already foresaw about 200 years ago, that was intrinsic in democratic governments. Democratic governments, in opposition to dictatorial governments, for example, have a very typical benign kind of despotism that is constantly endangering their freedom-loving aspirations. So in name, democratic governments are about freedom, are about individual rights and so on, but they have an inherent tendency to become totalitarian and to suffocate society in a web of rules and regulations and control and KYC and what have you, and to always increase that control. And as a politician, or should I say a cockroach, or less than a cockroach actually, I have witnessed that from up close. I've seen this happening in Parliament. And the dynamic is the following. Something happens in society. Something happens. Somebody has a Let's say a car accident. It's all over in the news, people are upset about it. And the question comes to the politicians, what are you going to do about this? And in most cases, when something happens in society, the answer should be nothing. And in some cases, the answer should be, we're going to do even less, because politics usually destroys the organic solutions that prop up in society. And in exceptional circumstances, the answer from politics should be, okay, we have to do something, we have to make a law. This sometimes happens. I don't think that politics is entirely superfluous and unnecessary, but it is in most cases, and in the vast majority of the cases. But it never happens in democratic societies. It's always this politician combating that politician with better solutions. We need to install a commission. We need to have regulations for traffic control. We need to have more traffic lights. We need to have speed limitations. We're going to do something about safety regulations for car producers. It always extends and always increases the amount of regulations and control. This is innate. This is central to democratic politics. It happens all over the place. It happens in Europe. It happens in the United States. It happens everywhere where parliaments and parliamentarians, who basically are busybodies, meddling with other people's lives all the time, get to decide what kind of rules there are, what kind of regulations there are. And the media, of course, amplify that. And I believe, and I come from a libertarian background, then I became ideologically, intellectually, then I became so enamored and so taken by culture and art and the great traditions of Europe that I felt that we needed to preserve traditions and culture through some form of statehood, some form of organized, hierarchical, societal structure. And then I became sort of conservative libertarian politician. But the developments during COVID shifted my feelings more back towards my original libertarian starting points, because I realized, first of all, that the state, and especially the democratic states, is absolutely useless in defending high culture and art. And second of all, the dangers of increased control are vastly more intense and more direct than the upside of having a state that would, in theory, be able to produce support for the arts and for culture and for intelligentsia and books and academia and those kinds of things. So I think the lockdowns and the restrictions during COVID were for all of us should have been a wake-up call. That's when the state showed its obsessive nature with whether it's health or whether it's security and safety. COVID made me rethink 9/11 completely and re-understand completely what the kind of madness the world has been going through ever since, and the United States government producing the Patriot Act 5 days after the event. This is just, it's ludicrous. It's really absurd what happened to us. And of course, all these increased powers, they are presented to us in name of some apparent grave danger, like the Russians or the Al-Qaeda, some dude in a cave somewhere, or COVID or something like, we need to protect you. And then but it's actually, it's never exclusively used for those purposes. These extra powers are always used for far wider applications, and that's the great dynamic we're in. I'm sure you guys agree with that already, so I'm not going to bore you too much with the things you already know. But I think for me, during the lockdown period, that's when I became aware of what crypto can do for us. That's when I became a crypto enthusiast. Unfortunately, I missed the whole thing before that, so I'm not ridiculously rich. I could have been if I would have bought the right stuff earlier on. I didn't, but I became, and that's also, I think it's also a danger, because this speculative aspect of crypto, which is especially prevalent today among meme coins on the Solana blockchain, is endangering the fundamental philosophical argument that I think we are here together about. This is what we need to talk about. We need to talk about the philosophical. It's not a casino. We are not propagandists. I don't think. I'm not in any case of casino crypto stuff. But we are here because we fundamentally support, and blockchain technology has the capacity, and I think it's the only development in our modern time that has the capacity to counter this vicious dynamic that exists in developed democracies of increased control over our lives. So ever since, the world history, according to me, you have the introduction of democracies around the French Revolution and so on, roughly 200 years ago. Then there's 200 years of ever increasing government control in the name of individual freedom. That's the great paradox we have to understand. And then the blockchain revolution occurs, and it gives us an opportunity to fight back, to roll back this tendency of modern state to enslave us, essentially, to enslave us in a matrix kind of situation of total control. Now, the great tragic thing about democracies is that you have to convince people that are fundamentally uninterested in being convinced. The vast majority of the people who decide the outcome of elections are completely and utterly uninterested in thinking about society. They're not interested in their own lives. They're not interested in abstract discussions about things. So this is a real challenge for democratic politics, and it's something that I think we as freedom-loving crypto enthusiasts should think about very seriously, because we all live in a bias. We live in a bubble. We are deeply interested in these issues. We are willing to make the extra mile, to go the extra mile, to make sure that we adopt certain applications, that we use these very complicated blockchain addresses to send complicated coins to each other. And this is our bias. This is our handicap in a way, because fundamentally we're on the right side. This is what it needs to happen. This is crucial for the future of humanity, for the future of freedom in the modern age, that the blockchain revolution continues. And after the hijacking of after Bitcoin was hijacked and miraculously increased so much in value that everybody started thinking about crypto as a casino and as a non-usable thing, we are in a dire situation, because we have to explain on the one hand that we're not maximalists, which nobody understands, it's very technical, and on the other hand that crypto is not about casino capitalism but it's about something else. So what I think the conversation should be about, and that's the crypto revolution I'm talking about, is adoption. Mass adoption. As a politician, I just mentioned it, we're dealing every day with the fact that the people that we need to support us are not interested at all in society. They have the right to vote, but they're not interested. They couldn't care less. I will give you a couple of examples. For 50 years, we've had mass immigration destroying our nations and our identity in Europe. And nobody in Europe wants that. Nobody wants it. But they vote for the parties that do it every single election, because they don't give a shit about it. They don't understand there's a connection between voting and policy. This is too complicated a thought for 85% of the people in the world. And this is a serious problem. Esperanto, you guys know what Esperanto is. It's the best language in the world. But it was an academic language, and nobody uses it. So we use inferior languages. It would be much better if there would be mass adoption of Esperanto in the world. That would be great. And I'm sure people like us in this room, we would make this decision based on abstract qualifications, and we would start learning it, and then we start using it, and we're like, hey, we're the future of humanity, we use Esperanto, we're right, they're wrong. But in the end, it's still a small room with lots of empty chairs. It is a very, very tiny minority that's together here. It's a tiny minority that understands things in the abstract. Therefore, I think it is absolutely crucial that we find means to promote mass adoption of what we understand to be a blockchain revolution, but which has to be something that is instantly understandable and usable and beneficial for normal people. Why would a normal person be interested in using cryptography, be using blockchain technology? Why would a normal person like to pay with a crypto account, other than being a casino capitalist and enjoying the ride of meme coins and so on, and rug pulls and everything like that? Other than that, what means can we develop to translate what we understand to be the crucial and only opportunity we have to resist becoming slaves in a totalitarian bureaucratic regime, which is on its way like an avalanche? No pun intended, by the way. And it's on its way. And here's the technology. But we need to find a way. And this is also why Ross Ulbricht was imprisoned so severely, by the way, because Silk Road was the first example of how crypto can be used in a real life, for a real life purpose, for something that people actually want. The war on drugs is ridiculous. The governments use it to fund their wars everywhere. It's a corrupt scheme. We're going to set up this marketplace where we're going to buy and sell drugs directly with no government interference, and we use crypto for it. Hey, and that's it. That was the actual danger of Silk Road. That was the actual revolutionary idea, and that is why Ross Ulbricht became the political prisoner that he was for the past 11 years. But we have to think along those lines, and that is also why I'd like to use the last couple minutes to introduce to you this project that a friend of mine has been starting, and we're going to be in this panel discussion with one of the collaborators of this project. It's called Monflow. And Monflow is set up by a great friend of mine. He's currently abroad, he's not in the country, that's why he's not here, but he has gone through the same argumentation as I have. And we agree about these fundamental points. We need blockchain technology to protect ourselves against the avalanche of unfreedom that is approaching us through modern democracy. This is the problem of the modern world. This is what we stand for. This is the thing we have to solve. This is the question. How do we do that? We need blockchain technology. We need mass adoption of blockchain technology. And so he set up this company, Monflow, which for the first time, as I'm aware, couples a crypto exchange to an IBAN account, making it ridiculously easy for people to set up a bank account, normal bank account. It functions like a bank account. It gives you an IBAN number. You can get your salary deposited on it. You can pay wherever you want. The currency is denominated in crypto euros, which is a stable currency with a blockchain technology underneath it, with a 100% minting, 103 even, so extra for extra security. So it's a completely structured way of promoting general adoption of blockchain technology through means that normal people actually understand. And then it offers you the possibility to buy through these exchanges directly either government bonds, so you can get a higher yield on your savings than you would get through a normal banking savings account. You can also directly buy physical gold, transfer your crypto euros to physical gold, so you have a storage of value there if that's what you'd like to do with your savings. But also it enables cheap and very fast financial transactions across the globe through the blockchain that the IBAN account is immediately connected to. So I think this is one of the most revolutionary ideas and practice. It's a business. One in the Netherlands, you can already open a bank account at Monflow. And in this way, and also, for example, KYC, these guys are different in the way they think about KYC. In the Netherlands, it takes you about 5 months to open a bank account for a company. Monflow can do it in 2 days. Boom. This is the kind of thing we need. This is the kind of thinking we need. This is the challenge. I think, and I'm not trying to be condescending about all the important technical discussions that are taking place here, and I think they're great, and I think you guys should absolutely continue having those technical discussions, and you should. And I'm not an ICT programmer, obviously, so I'm a massive admirer of people that can code and that can understand all these complex hashes and how these blocks are built and so on. But I do think that some part of our energies and thinking power should be directed to adoption, to creating something that bridges the island that we're on with the mainland where the ordinary people are. Somebody before, Aaron Day, mentioned boomers. It's not just the boomers that are the problem, it's also Gen X. And frankly, it's the vast majority of Gen Z. It's simply 85+% of the population that don't care. And we need to find a way to bring them on board. We need to open up the advantages of the technology that we're so sympathetic about to real life, concrete, everyday benefits that normal people can enjoy. And once that happens, and once again, I think we should move away from the casino thing. We should move away from, oh, you know, crypto's fun, you can invest in this meme coin and you can go times 15 tomorrow. Okay, good, well done. And then somebody else loses and it becomes shabby. We should stay away from that. I think we should think of examples like Monflow, which I just mentioned, things like that where people have real life direct, and this casino thing also happened, by the way, to the NFT market. As much as I like the Bored Ape stuff, I think the Bored Ape destroyed OpenSea. It destroyed the NFT market because it turned it into a casino. It's ridiculous to pay so much money for this. Was it Bored Ape? Was the name, right? Yeah, stupid. Very stupid. But the technology, the idea behind NFTs is great, is serious. It's something we should support. So these were just, this is I think the most important thing for us to think about. Of course, I am in the dungeon. I am in a very dark place in politics where it's impossible to have an intellectual conversation with people. It's absolutely impossible. So I come to places like this to tell you guys what's happening. This is the news from underground. It's happening, it's coming for you. Totalitarian control is right around the corner. So there's no time to waste. Build the stuff that people can actually use in real life. Bring an end to all the feuds and the technical discussions. Save them for the weekend, but work during the day to build something that people can actually use before it's too late, and we can defend ourselves against what's coming for us. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Thierry. We have a few questions from the Slido. We have a QR code here where people could ask questions to you. How can you advocate for freedom yet be against migration, aka in real life enforce KYC? Either we are all free or no one is free.
That's actually a very intelligent question. And it's not easy to answer that question from a libertarian philosophical starting point. I would say, though, that I think we are free to express ourselves. I'll answer with an analogy. We are free to express ourselves in the language that we speak, only to the extent that we accept the rules of the grammar beforehand. And in the same way, I think of freedom as something that can only exist in a community, within a group of people that share certain intrinsic values. And I believe that these values are the cause of nature as much as nurture. That is why I do not believe in the multi-ethnic, multicultural experiment that has been imposed on us.
Thank you. Another one. Gnosis gave an IBAN and security to Europeans before Monflow. Both can help with tax evasion. If caught, what would be an appropriate ruling against tax evaders?
So I understand this question to contain two elements: the extent to which Gnosis did or did not offer the same thing as Monflow. I find a little bit too technical for me to answer. I'm sure Steve will be able to respond to that later. With regards to tax evasion, unfortunately, I believe that the law, even if it's an unjust law, it is the law, and we need to change our tax legislation. I think it's unjust. I think it's ridiculous. I think government takes way too much from people, and I think there's a complete misunderstanding within politics of what an economy actually is, and the central idea, the implicit idea amongst virtually all politicians is that they are the source of wealth. The government creates wealth, the government makes things possible instead of the other way around. So unfortunately our tax laws are incredibly strict and annoying, and we're trying every day to change that for you guys, but as you probably, some people in the Netherlands know, we don't have a great amount of support among the general population with our party, so it's an uphill battle.
One last one before we jump into the panel. What about direct liquid democracy? Any thoughts on that model?
Yeah, direct democracy, i.e. referendums, I think are the only way in which democracy as an idea makes sense, because in that way people can express direct preferences and you have an actual debate about subjects rather than this popularity contest that democratic elections are usually degenerating into. So I like that. By the way, I didn't get the facts, and I hope none of you did.
Thank you, Thierry.